Well, hello everyone. I'm back. Yes, last week I had to have the week off just because I was a bit ill. But it was hosted by the marvellous, amazing Casey, and I very much appreciated for covering that one for me. It was in Belgium, and we'll get to that in a second. Because first of all, welcome back. Here we are, Monday Night Racing here in Austria, round 13 of 15. Two races left after this, and Austria, what a track. It's going to be amazing. We know it's going to be brilliant. 18 drivers are already here, and we're ready to get started, I think. But let's talk about last time out. It was Belgium. It was an amazing race from what I've seen. It was certainly an interesting one, and please go check it out if you haven't seen it. The important bits were, of course, Jim Straff came in first. You have Drofter, who was filling in, coming in second. And Drofter is in again this week. I'm very much looking forward to. He's one of our best drivers. Always one to watch, so it'll be very interesting to see how he does today, alongside the rest of these guys. And of course, you had Clarkey, who has been promised so much. Everyone has said he's so good, and he's just not been able to perform in the past couple of races. When I've been watching, obviously maybe I'm his bad luck charm because he came in third place last time out. But the most important thing is this man right here, FT, finished in 6th. Now that doesn't sound like an amazing thing, but if I was to ask you how many championships Lewis Hamilton has won, finishing his championship winning race so far down, most of them. I think it's about 3 actually he's won from coming first, including last year. FT won by finishing 6th. He won. That makes sense. By finishing 6th, he got enough points to secure the championship here on Monday Night Racing. We've had a few other champions also being crowned in the league, and of course you have the other days where we have championships. Every other day has a championship. They're each all separate. We've had Joff to become a champion, we've had FT become a champion now. It'll be interesting to see on the other days who wins those leagues. Because yes, as we'll go through, FT has now got 175 points, with Extremist in second on 92. The gap is just immeasurable. He can't catch up. FT is now crowned as the champion of Valiant Racing's first season, Monday Night Racing. So, as I said, Extremist is in second with 92 points, just behind him. And don't think for 1 second that just because the big championship is all done and dusted that we're not going to have some amazing battles, because just behind Extremist on 88 points compared to Extremist's 92 is Joshy Boy. That battle between the McLaren and Red Bull guys is still there, and certainly one to look out for. You then had Callum Tyler on 59 points, the other McLaren who's not here today. Then you have Siam, who's catching up behind him on 56 in the Ferrari. So that is certainly looking like some, battles for second and battle for third. Certainly is, fourth, should say, is certainly hotting up, and we'll see in the next couple of races as exactly how they play out. But of course, not only is the Drivers' Championship one of those ones that you kind of look for, but you also look for the Constructors' Championship, and we still have the Constructors wide open. Now, I say wide open, but Mercedes on 232 points, with Alfa Romeo now right behind them on 196. 40 points sounds like a lot, but actually all it takes is 2, maybe 3, of course, we've got left. Bad races for Mercedes, and good races for our championship winner now of FT, and all of a sudden Alfa Romeo have caught up. Then you have the battle right behind them of McLaren on 168, so not too far behind Alfa Romeo, and then Red Bull on 151. It's looking good. It's looking like it's gonna be an interesting end to the season. Last final 3 races. It's gonna be good. I'm just double checking the invites, and I'm just double checking everything on the Discord to make sure everything is okay and everything seems fine. So let's tell you about Austria, shall we? It was off the calendar in 2004 because, Austria went, no, we don't like the idea of having tobacco companies on our cars, and everyone went, boo you, that's terrible, and then F1 eventually went, actually, maybe they've got a point. So they came back in 2014 after a very long wait, and after Red Bull purchased, well, the owner of Red Bull, I'm going to absolutely butcher the pronunciation here, Dietrich Mateschitz, Gesundheit, He purchased it in 2004 and worked to build it back up and renamed it in 2011 and opened it as the Red Bull Ring. Of course, named the Red Bull Ring because he's owner of the Red Bull. And now Red Bull haven't always had the best of luck here, as we saw last year, and didn't have feature on the podiums both times. And actually, Albon got Hamilton twice, which is always fun. But the great Niki Lauda is the only Austrian driver to ever win on home turf back in 1984. They changed the options right at the last second. Now everyone's got to re-choose their thing. Okay, don't know what happened there. Carry on. Alain Prost is the most successful driver in Austria with 3 wins since F1 returned to the country in 2014. Nico Rosberg, Max Verstappen, Valtteri Bottas, and Lewis Hamilton have all won it twice, which is quite interesting. We've not had a dominance that we've seen at other tracks from Mercedes. I say that, and actually only one of those drivers isn't a Mercedes driver, so maybe we have. We've just not seen it from one driver. Hamilton hasn't actually won. And actually, when it was announced that we'd be seeing this track twice this year, like we had it last year, Hamilton was actually quite upset. He says, "Oh, I don't really go very well there." So it's just quite interesting that that's the case. That he's very much, I wouldn't say not a fan of this track, but he just knows he doesn't exactly go particularly well around the track. But someone who did go quite well around track, and of course, as we know in F1, consistency is certainly key, was David Coulthard. And David Coulthard actually finished runner-up at the Austrian Grand Prix on 4 consecutive occasions between 1997 and 2000, which is crazy. To finish second in every single running of the event. It's amazing consistency, and I don't think anyone's going to suggest that David Coulthard isn't a great driver. But it also begs the question of, is it the everlasting saying of always the bridesmaid and never the bride? Well, actually, then in 2001, when that question was asked to him, he went and won. So it means he's actually got the most. He shares the most podium finishes at the circuit. With who? Well, another person who's always the bridesmaid and never the bride. Valtteri Bottas. Maybe it's a thing about Austria. Maybe they always just like to reward those people who maybe don't necessarily look to be winning the World Championship at any point. As we know, it was the first race of the season last year, first 2 races of the season last year with revised calendar. Valtteri Bottas won the first one. And then the second one was Hamilton's, wasn't it? Being silly? I think the second one was from Hamilton. Anyway, so the Austrian Grand Prix was Bottas, Leclerc and Norris because of that 5-second penalty, because as I said, Hamilton went into Albon. It's an interesting thing to think back to that race, because that was Lando Norris's first podium, and of course it was the podium for Charles Leclerc that we all sort of went, hang on, Ferrari are terrible this year, what's happened here? Which is quite interesting. So maybe we will see the return of some people who haven't done particularly well in the past couple of races. Maybe we're going to see Extremist or Joshy Boy come back into this and really push for those podium positions. Well, let's talk about fastest laps. The pole position here was a 1:02. This is the kind of track where everyone sort of aims for that 1 minute barrier. No one's ever broken it. It'll be really interesting. The fastest lap that we've had around here during the race is Stinson with a 1:04.2. He's not racing today, but then you got the likes of Drofter, and I think is Walker racing today? I'm unsure. Or Drofter, Clarkey, Nick, all these guys are incredibly fast, and certainly I'd be looking at one of them for pole position. It's of course a low downforce track. All these guys will be running as little downforce as possible. You've got those 3 really long straights, all DRS zones, all consecutive. The turns 1 and turn 4. It's weird that it's turn 4 because it's really kind of turn 3. But turn 1 and turn, is it turn 4? Anywho, top and bottom of the hill. They're the ones you want to look for. That's where you're going to be looking at getting the overtakes happening. I think, honestly, turn 1 is kind of negligible. You don't really want to be overtaking there because of the fact you've got 2 DRS zones then coming up straight after that. You run the risk, if you can make a fairly good, sounds bad to say, dive bomb into this corner that we're seeing here, you'll suddenly find yourself with DRS and track position, because that's always the risk. You overtake going into that hill, up the top of the hill, and all of a sudden the person behind you who you've just overtaken has now got DRS to then attack you back. You really want to be making that Oh, I will stop myself mid-sentence because we have a wet qualifying, people. Short qualifying, just to quickly go over the rules, we have short qualifying, obviously strict corner cutting rules. But we have a wet qualifying. This is going to be interesting. Because we might not have a wet race, which is always the bit that we want to be looking at. A wet race will mean that obviously they set their car up, and as we're talking about setups now, you set your car up to make sure that you're okay in the race. You never really set your car up for qualifying. The issue you find yourself in when you've got a wet qualifying is that you're setting your car up for a dry race and your car's not really ready for it. So let's see who's currently out. Is it Drofter? Drofter is straight out, so we'll stay on board with him. So your car's not really prepared for this kind of weather. You'll be wheel spinning, you'll be really risking actually spinning your car. We go on with Drofter. Let's have a look as we go through this traction zone now. This is where you'll be able to see he's very sensitive on the accelerator there. Now, I know Drofter is a very, very good driver. I don't expect him, even if he has set his car up for a dry race, to be spinning the car, because he knows how to really work that accelerator. But anyone who's maybe not necessarily as competent, that sounds bad, not really necessarily as confident and delicate on the accelerator, as we're going to see here now. MJ King is very much going straight on the power, got very little traction. We see Magic Mag, very on board with Drofter. As I said, it's a very short lap, so these guys will be doing their flying laps quite quickly. But the fact that these guys are all going out now suggests to me that we are going to have a full wet qualifying session. I don't know what's happening in the race. I'm waiting for someone to say on the on the chat to see if anyone said, okay, yes, it's definitely this. So Drofter now, as he goes through the first sector, this will give us a good indication. So 17-4 for the first sector. It's a decent first sector. Of course, we're not going to be seeing anyone challenging Valtteri Bottas in 102, as we see get a lot of wheel spin there for Drofter, because it's wet. So Drofter is going around first. He's got a nice line into the hairpin there. It's fairly decent. That's where you're going to see a fair bit of overtaking, but there is just that little bit of back end loss. I don't know if any of you guys saw that. As he was going round and as he started accelerating, the back end just started just ever so slightly clipped out, and it just meant as you can see getting all the obviously. I just think realistically they're going to be wanting the track temperature and the track evolution is going to be going on. Obviously these guys are going to know that the last 2 minutes is where you want to be going out. This now becomes very much like Monaco, as we see a 1:12.5 as the benchmark from Drofter. See how Raggy's doing at the top of the hill. Let's see who's next across the line. He's just started his seems to be on their flyers, but not. So there we go. Let's get first. The track, yeah. So this becomes basically like Monaco. The last minute of this track, qualifying, is going to be the best time to be at. It's about who crosses the line last to start their flying. That's what I'll be looking at. As we see some of the times now coming in, we're starting to get a feel of exactly what kind of the benchmark is. It does look like the 112s. Maybe we're going to get into the 111, maybe even into the 110s once these guys get to the end of the session. But the 112.2 looks like it's going to go pretty much into the top 10 quite easily. So anyone who can get into the 112s, you're looking quite Drofter. These guys are going to probably keep going around just to get used to the track. Because you're on intermediate tyres, it doesn't necessarily mean you've got a load of them. And of course, that does also provide a very difficult decision for some of these guys. You see Josh Boy really kind of being quite sensitive going around. See how Nick's doing. Because yeah, if you are going to have a wet race or an intermediate race, you've only got 3 sets. It just means that you can't be burning the set like you normally would do with a dry. you're having a dry setup, but if you're going to have a dry race, you just burn through the intermediate tyres, knowing you're not going to need to use them. But if it might be a wet race, you might think, actually, you know something, I don't want to ruin 3 sets of tyres and then have nothing for the race. So Nick goes along with a 1:13.0, so very good time for him. Up into 4th. Casey's in 5th, and then Ryan Nutt. I was going to say Ryan Nutt. Ryan's then in 6th, Mazepin in 7th, FT in 8th, championship winner in 8th position, but I would expect him to get a lot higher than that. Clark is invalidated another lap, so is Jake Lee, and as we've seen, this is the kind of track, especially when it's wet, overextending becomes the real issue. As we're watching now, Jake Lee go up to, seeing now Jake Lee go up to turn 3, watch as he comes out of the corner. You just, yeah, you see there, he has to nip it round. And if you get round to, probably to be honest, the last sector, any of those corners coming out of, you're trying to put your foot down to get as much speed as possible, especially in the wet conditions where you're not really able to control your car as well. If you overextend by a millimetre, we're not the FIA, we're not going to, you know, pussy around trying to get these track limits in force. This is the kind of thing where as soon as you are a millimetre over that white line, you're invalidated. It's simple as invalidated time, as we see JK have a massive moment there. Let's have a look at Kaiser. I'm going to say Kaiser because Kaiser doesn't sound good. Kaiser. Kaiser, I'm ready to be offensive there. Who knows? Kaiser now going into the middle of the middle. Go around this very, very fast. I always find very understeery right-hander effort. I always find the deeper you go in there, the more understeer you like. The more difficult it is to get around, but a lot of corners you can find, you can go deeper in, you can then get a nice exit out. Actually, with that corner, the deeper you go in, the worse an exit. It's not going to work for you. And with it being such an understeering corner, you kind of err on the side of caution, I find, probably going slower than you need to, opening yourself up for someone trying to go around the outside of you. You see Kaiser almost, you see there, almost going over that white line. You can see it going for a 1:13.1. As I said, into the 1:12s, top 10 of them. You see Clarkey on his 3rd lap has gone for a 1:11.8. So, a lot of top runners are going for about 3 or 4 laps on these tyres. Oh, as you see, Josh is getting real messy there. Let's see, Drofters, so Drofters, broken track limits, FT's definitely going slower. They're probably just waiting to see. Here's what I do. Keep going round, it's probably about 5 minutes. Make sure you get a feel for the track, make sure you get a feel for the track conditions, where the track in. The more running that's out there, you know, it's the same as normal F1. The more running you do out there, the dry line becomes the faster track becomes. If you, as 10 other people are out there doing 4 or 5 laps throughout the entirety of quali, and then come in and put in another new set of intermediate tyres, you'll be a good second and half pass. That's what I'm thinking, because it does look like that's what everyone else is doing. We're going to stay on board with Drofter though. We're going to go on broadcast mode. It's always good to see how broadcast mode works around in a qualifying session. We see Joshy Boy going up into is already, I should say, into 3rd. As we see Nick going first with 1:11.6. That's 2/10 faster, and I think this is what we're going to see really. This track really start to evolve. So. See Drofter now is getting right held up by a trash holding. Oh, that's a big moment there for Drofter. But let's see, can he keep it going? It's a 1:11.2, 4/10 faster. Even with that moment, that just shows exactly how good Drofter is currently doing on this circuit. Still fighting on to that's what we're saying now. Not doing amazing, but there's one thing that always makes me feel better. That's why I felt ill during the Monaco Grand Prix. But I'm sorry. I'm not. I'm going to keep making jokes like that, because Monaco last week was... It was Monaco. You know what I'm saying? The point is, is that a race like this in Austria, like we're going to get in a couple of weeks' time, is going to be amazing, especially if these guys are all on different strategies, because the one thing that this does open up when it comes to going a bit slowly into the pit there, Nick. The one thing this does open up in terms of the race is strategy. If we're going to get a dry race, it means we're going to have an amazing, and I mean genuinely amazing strategy. I'm thinking we're going to see 4 stops. I'm thinking we're going to see 3 stops. So no one's going to want to do more than 2. I think it's 2 stops, isn't it? That's a 1 stop. There we go. So if you're going for the soft to begin with, which I think a lot of people probably will be, if they're being able to start on a completely fresh set of tyres. But he really cuts across FT there. Ooh. What are you doing? Right, Casey. Let's go on board with Casey on his first flying lap of this new set of tyres. Yeah, so around lap 15 you'll be putting off on the soft, off the mediums, or if you're going for soft hards around lap 13. Really, I think one of the things it always depends on around Austria is the safety car. You can't really see it because the lead race, of course you are. But what I think you might see is a safety car happening more towards the middle of the race than the end. If you're on a race that kind of causes people to make mistakes after your first pit stop, and as soon as that happens, you get a safety car, and all of a sudden, lap 15, and you start to make the pit, it's a good lap, 7/10 up, which just shows how this track has evolved. We're now going on board with Infamous Pillars, who's currently 5/10 up. That would put him up into first position. That was a lot further than 5/10. Wow. So 1:11.1. I didn't say, I did wonder whether we'd see a 1:10. I think we probably will. With 5 minutes left to go, this track is evolving. Right, let's see who's currently on a faster lap. Cody, you can see he's on a pan, which doesn't necessarily mean anything in terms of whether you're going to be fast or not. It means you're going to be very hopeful to not elongate the track a bit too much. It's really be a 1:12.5. A bit better, 6/10 better, but not still enough to get him anywhere near the top guys. Though I think with FT, who seems to go a little bit faster, as he goes in towards the final couple of corners. This is where the track limits really come in. Let's see. It's on the limit there for FT. Now goes into a nice wide line into the final corner. Let's see. It's a 1:11.5 from FT. Third position. Very good for him. He'll be very happy with that. But of course, with the way that this track does definitely seem to be evolving, he'll be hoping for more. So we see droppers going very slowly. I'll be doing that today. What a glorious day. Here's the thing, we're watching rain now. I don't think anyone else in the UK has seen rain for the past couple of days because, as we see, Infamous Pillars has disqualified himself from this. What? The pole sitter has been disqualified. What? I was about to say how lovely the weather's been today and how much, you know, I've been to the beach for the first time in like 3 years and it's been lovely. And what? Right, FT is improving his time. Let's see. That was bonkers. Right, FT is looking to gain at least 3/10 to get ahead of Drofter, who is now in the pits. This is his 4th lap on these intermediate tyres. He's probably going to be going in for another pit stop after this and then stopping back another new one. So it's a 1:11.1. Still not enough to get to the 1:10s at the moment. Good lap there from FT. Good lap again from Joshy Boy. That Red Bull is really hooking itself up here at the Red Bull ring. Why? That's soft compound tyres. This track isn't ready for soft compound tyres. Don't be silly, lads. That is genuinely silly. Right, who's out on their fastest lap? Right, Nick Hill's going to come up to the first sector now. Let's see, he's in the second one. not going for a faster lap. Let's see if Josh Boy goes towards the middle of sector 2. I don't think he will. He's taking a while to get in. We'll wait and see. Oh, he is a 10th up. Oh, this could be a 1:10 lap. Let's stay on board with Joshy Boy, who's got a lot of traffic in front of him, but rather nicely, they're all getting out of the way. He has got a warning on his dashboard for the fuel, but let's hope he can get round before that kicks in. He's on a 1:7 at the moment. He doesn't extend track limits and see it's a 1:10.9, first 1:10 of the day there from Joshy Boy. Great news for him. So let's see as we go on board now with Nick, who's only 6/10 down. He's not set a lap on these new intermediate tyres yet. You'd expect him to be coming out and really going all guns blazing on this lap. We're going to stay on board with him. You see Dropper's now out on his lap. Of course, Clarkie's one to watch. Don't know how many of these guys are going to be coming out soon or not. Clarkie's one to watch, so Rangy's very good. We're going to keep our eyes on those guys who have got soft compound tyres. Just about up on his previous best time there. Nick is he's still getting a lot of wheel spin, even on the intermediate tyres. I just don't think it's quite ready for those softs yet. It would be one hell of a strategy call if Casey and Smithy end up going for it. You know, if I was Smithy, I'd do it. He is. Okay, this is something got interesting. We're going to keep an eye on Smithy as we see Nick going 2/10 faster, fastest middle sector. Jake Lee is retired from the session, but you see Nick is having a real game at trying to get around, but that has been, the rain has stopped. Ladies and gentlemen, the rain has stopped. Nick's going to come across the line, it's going to be in the 1:10, no it's not, it's 1:11.3, 2/10 faster. He's doing well, but really we want to be seeing how Smithy's doing here on soft compound tyres. We might be seeing Smithy getting pole position here. Right, let's go on board with Drofter. Drofter has stopped. Okay. What's going to happen? I can't leave him. I've got to stay on board with Smithy here. You see Drofter's disqualified himself as well. So now FT's currently on pole. I've got to see it. Smithy has to be... He's got to be on pole here. He has to be. Let's see. Right, Smithy, as he comes across into the first corner, he's gone through and he's just now going up towards... This is crazy. Let's see. It's going to be between Smithy and Casey Jennett. They've both managed to get across on their soft compound tyres. Let's see. This is mental. So everyone's now starting to come across the line. They're not really improving on time because it's now dry. Rangy has disqualified himself from the session as well. What in the world's happening? Come on, Smithy. You can do it. You and Casey. This could be an absolute shock. No one would have put these guys being able to come on drop. This is the beauty of F1 League Racing. It is a purple middle sector for Smithy. He is on for it at this moment in time, but we have to keep an eye on Casey Jennett. Let's see if he's going to go any faster. Let's see. Smithy in the Williams. He's coming across the middle, across the final corner now. He's going to go across the line. Is it going to be enough? It's not enough for pole. Casey Jennett now comes across the line. Is that enough? It is. There we go. A whole 3/10 faster. Smithy doesn't get pole, but Casey with the softs does. Then Clarkie comes home in second. Best of those intermediate runners. But what in the world have we just seen? This track has just all of a sudden dried up. And we suddenly find ourselves with the most unlikely of poles for Casey, with the two fastest, I'd say, drivers of Infamous Pillars and Drofter both being disqualified. I don't know what to say. Other than absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So Casey Jennett is on pole with a sort of soft compound tyre that he will have to start on, of course. Then have Clarkie in second, Joshy Boy in third, FT in fourth. The champion is in fourth position at the moment. Smithy in fifth, Nick in sixth, Ryan in seventh, and Mazepin, Kaiser, Kaiser, whatever his name is, MJ King, Extremist Cody, Tarash, the Stiffmeister, Magic Mag, Jake Lee, Infamous Pillars, Drofter and Raggy, all three doing disqualified for the same reason, obviously doing it on purpose, strangely enough. Be interesting to see where they manage to find themselves at the end of the race. I wouldn't put any of them off for a podium. I wouldn't, because at the end of the day, they are that good. I did a charity stream not so long ago, which was sponsored by this amazing league, and Stinson went from the back of the grid on every occasion and finished on the podium and actually won one of them. It's just the amazing, as we see, it is a wet race. What? This is going to be drying up. It's the only thing I can think of, because these guys did use 2 sets of intermediate tyres. But it's a wet race. It's a wet start to a race. We're going to get treated to one of the best Austrian Grand Prix I think I've seen in a good while. It's going to be amazing. But I can't wait to see it. I'm genuinely stoked. This is crazy. I've never seen it this mental. For it to have gone dry at the end of the last session, and then dry again, and then wet again for the start of the race. Who knows if it's going to be a dry end to the race? We don't know. It's going to be crazy. This is going to be mental. I don't know who's going to come out on top. I really don't. Casey Jennett might keep everyone behind him. You might have Smithy sort of like being the Leclerc in the pack, if you put it that way, the way he stopped Bottas from ever being able to get past him in Spain. We might see that happening, as so the top 3 might just run away with things. But as we start the formation lap, I'm pretty sure everyone is going to be on... What the... Yep, they are. I thought they would... I thought it was lying to me. We're going to see some serious incidents, I have a feeling. They're going to need to do some real good tyre warm-up, because they're going to be losing temperature like no man's land. It's going to be crazy. A lot of people in the top 10, including Clarkey, in 2nd place, starting on the medium compound tyres. They obviously think they can go a fair distance and then switch onto this soft, which we know is very good here. This alternate strategy can work very well in your favour if there's no safety car, or if there's a late safety car. As I said, it's likely that we see a mid-rate safety car. Oh, that's a real slide. And I think this is going to really show what this track's going to be like when they actually go around it real racing, because it is raining. I am baffled that none of them started on intermediate tyres. I just don't know. This is going to be crazy, but one thing I know for sure is you're not going to want to miss it. This is going to be awesome. Right. So Case Jennett in first. You then have Clarkey in second with the medium compound tyres. Those tyres are going to be really cold. But we're going to probably sit on board with Smithy for the start of the race. Because what in the world is going to happen here? I just don't know. This is going to be crazy. Right. As the final guys start lining up, we're waiting now to see how this works. This is going to be mental. We're obviously looking at Drofter, we're looking at Raggy, we're looking at Infamous Pillars. Let's see how far they can get up the pack in that first lap. It's going to be carnage into turn 1. We know it's going to be carnage into turn 1. Right, let's go on board with Smithy. So, let's see, shall we? I don't know what's going to happen here. I'm so excited to see it. I said I needed it, as we see 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. And we're off. This is the start of the race. They all get tremendous amounts of wheel spin. As we see, Smithy doesn't have... Well, he doesn't have a great release, but the guys in front definitely don't. As we see Clarkey managing to get out in front. Let's go up to Clarkey then. So Clarkey, then Casey, then Joshy Boy, then FT, and then VRL Smithy in fifth. Oh, let's see. There's no accidents, I don't think, at the moment. Somehow we're going to watch on board behind here with FT. It doesn't look like there is at the moment any big incidents. Dropper is already up to 12. Let's see if he can get any higher with this. There's a very wide line there from Kaiser. Mazza spin. Oh, almost goes for a spin. We've got Cody really pushing Ryan there up in 9th and 8th place. They've done really well for themselves. Joshy Boy is still in 3rd position. Smithy is still there in 5th. There's a yellow flag going through sector 2. I wonder who that's for. Not sure. We've got all 19 runners still. Right, as we see there. That seemed like a bit of a push there from Raggy. He's still on the back of Extremish. You have Dropper now into 10th position. But that's an overtake there from Pillars as well. Ignore the left-hand screen at the moment. Cody's apparently in 1st position. We know that's not the case. But Cody's really pushing the guys in front as we see Nick here pushing FT. FT has had a big moment there if Smithy's managed to catch up to him. But let's see if he can gain the position back. But round the outside of him is Nick. Nick is really pushing. These medium compound tyres do seem to be working a lot more. That's a bad moment there from FT and Nick. Right, that is going to be a safety car. I have a feeling they've gone into the wall. It's a shame there from the championship winner and Nick. You then have Casey. He's really pushing Clarkey there. It's not a safety car at the moment. They haven't managed to keep the cars running. But Clarkey and Casey are really pushing each other tooth and nail. Let's have a look. Ryan is now to 6th then with Cody right behind him. Still pressing him. Just can't get past him. Pillars has managed to get past Dropper in 8th and 9th, and they're right behind this little pack here. We're going to keep on board here, I think, with Pillars. Watch as Cody tries to go up the inside of Ryan and just can't. I keep reading it as Nut. As we see, actually, Casey's getting very close there to Clarkey. Just holding off enough for Clarkey. That is a very wide moment there from Clarkey. This is just what Casey was hoping for with DRS, with overtake. Let's see if Clarkey is going to do the smart thing here. He is. Just go for a bit of a dive, get the inside line, block him off on the outside, and now he has DRS. But Casey does have a better run out of that corner. Let's see if Clarkey can use DRS to the advantage. Joshy Boy is also gaining. We know this is where DRS is king. Clarkey does manage to just retain the lead there. So Casey's now back into 2nd place. But Joshy Boy has also managed to get on the other side, just following the Mercedes through. It is still raining here as we see Dropper get past Tirash, and Cody has also now been overtaken by Pillars. Now the 2 racing points, which you don't see on the calendar. It'll be very interesting to see how they the new Aston Martin on the games, which they're not going to be up anywhere near where the racing points were on this game. It'll be interesting to see it. Right, so we see the 2 teammates kind of back at wheel-to-wheel racing, and Team Frankie's also getting past Tirash. Tirash is going straight into bits. He seems to have front wing damage, but we're going to go back onto the lead there as Joshy Boy just seems to have gone a bit deep there. Almost kind of looked like it was probably a dive bomb, but we're going to look behind Clarkey now as we see Casey and Joshy Boy. Joshy Boy hoping to do around the outside and maintain position, but they've pushed each other off. Joshy Boy is going to have to lose that position to Casey. Casey has now got an amazing run on Clarkey. This is the better place to do the overtake to the Alfa Romeo driver. Can he get it done though? With the Mercedes on the inside, it doesn't look like he can quite get the move done. He's still got track position at the moment, but he's not on the racing line. Clarkey does get out in front. Now we're going to see going on the inside to this corner. Clarkey is just that little bit too far ahead. I think Casey cannot make it work on that occasion. We're going to go down now to the racing points once again in 7th and in 6th as we see a lot of 3-time penalties, 3-second time penalties coming in for the guys lower down. So it looks like Pillars obviously has now got past Ryan, but now making inroads on the guys ahead, and that looks like a yellow flag, or is it Magic Mag? It was Droft has gone into the pits, though rather interestingly. It'll be interesting to see what filter he comes out on. Now Raggy going up the inside of the Stiffmeister. Let's see if he can make this work. Oh, they just collide a little bit, and Stiffmeister just manages to remain in control, but yep, decides again to give that place back. We've now got Pillars now up into 5th position. Amazing for someone who started down in 17th after being disqualified in the last one. Now Stiffmeister has managed to get the position back once again. Him and Raggy colliding by the looks of things, how wide he was. Casey is just not in range for Clarkey at this moment in time. We're going to go down to, I think, to Cody, and he's now behind his teammate, the Extremist. The team, the two McLaren, once again neck and neck as they were at the start of the race. Again now, as we see Drofter, he's on intermediate tyres. That's interesting. It's still raining. I don't know whether they should have started on dry tyres, but I think because they were on a level playing field, it means that they were kind of able to get away with it. You see Joshy Boy now going up the inside quite easily on Casey there. He's now managed to get that position into 2nd place. The Red Bull driver once again regained the second step on the podium. Now we've got Clarkey in his sights with DRS, with overtake. I don't think it's going to be the right place to do it here, but he's going to try and get a better exit by going round the outside of Clarkey. Clarkey sort of cuts him off. He's got a little bit of a better exit. He's got DRS, he's got overtake, he's got his slipstream. Clarkey's defending the inside line quite well, knowing that that's what worked against Casey. But here we go. The two are fighting once more. Clarkey is just able to defend enough to get ahead. To remain ahead of Joshy Boy. This race is looking like they're going to be an interesting one out front. All the while, VRL Smithy is still right behind in 4th position, but now has Infamous Pillars right in his gearbox, and it looks like he's just no match for the traction on that racing point. Let's see. Smithy's almost holding up. This is kind of like what you see when you get people sort of behind back markers, or when they're just pitting and behind someone who's just a slow runner. You see another yellow flag there for the pass of Magic Mag. He seems to have stopped on the track. It'd be interesting to see if he has actually going to cause a safety car. But now, as you see, Infamous Pillars going right up the inside. We're going to switch then over to Clarkey and Joshy Boy, who seem to be going at it neck and neck once more. Pillars has got the move stuff, but here we go with overtake, but without DRS. Clarkey has got DRS on Joshy Boy. He's got the inside line as well. It looks like he's going to be able to defend once more here and just keep it going. You have to say, I think that intermediate decision from Drofter was not worth it, but here we go. Joshy Boy has managed to keep it going round the outside, becoming the inside into the next sector, and now we have a retirement from Magic Mag into the pits, so that won't be causing any safety cars. Here on lap 7, we know these soft compound tyres can go a fair while, but with the situation with the rain, will they have been worn down a lot more? But it does look like actually the medium compound drivers seem to be struggling more than the soft. Joshy Boy is now in the lead by 7/10. He's just managed to elongate his lead quite nicely. Infamous Pillars is right behind Casey now, and we're going to look down the running order as you see Kaiser, I still don't know how to spell it. Say it, I'll spell it. Say it, I'll spell it. He's now overtaken Mazepin, who runs a little bit wide there. Right, we're going to go forward within Pillars as we put into DRS over. That's the big movement there from Infamous Pillars. He just obviously seemed to get very close to Casey, trying to go on the inside, just make it increasing the time, but they're actually down in 16th place. So, we've lost Drofter, we've lost FT, we lost Nick. Now, today we lost all Pixie. 17 seconds behind the next nearest driver. Chances are that means that they're not going back into it. That's a yellow flag in section 2 and 3. That looks like it's going to be, is it Raggy or is it Mazepin? It's Mazepin. He's managed to keep the car going, so it's not going to be a DRS. It's not going to be a that's an early pit stop from Smithy. It's not going to be a safety car. But there we go. Smithy is now in the pits. We're waiting to see if he's not any front. That leaves Casey very much open to the taking for Infamous Pillars, as Pillars now goes ahead and onto the podium from someone who started down in 17th. Absolutely crazy. Right, let's see if any battles are forming behind. You've got Raggy, who's right behind Ryan here. Let's see if we can overtake the Racing Point driver with DRS, with overtake and Slipstream. Should do it quite easily indeed. He does. There we go. Raggy is now up into 7th position. Right, let's see where the other. Let's see. Yeah, so Dropper now pitted for the soft compound tyre. That was expected. I think it was the bad decision. But more importantly, although he's now got almost a 2 lap, a 1.5 second gap to Clark, Joshua is now going 3-second time penalty. Curiouser and curiouser, as we see there's now a yellow flag for, I think, Jake Lee's car going as that's good. Let's have a look. Right down the bottom, so Stiff Meister is now in 10th, looking on right at the back of Cody. He's going to go up the inside, he's going to try and make it work. They do collide, and Cody loses a bit of front wing as well in the process. He's now defending the position from Kaiser. Kaiser looks like he's going to go quite easily around the outside there, but then let's see, managed to make this work. Kaiser goes for the over-unders. We have a virtual safety car now, because Mazepin is out of the race. Let's go up to our race leaders. See if they're going to see as they come around this corner now. Virtual safety car. I don't think it's enough for these guys to warrant hitting, although we're at 5 laps off the safety car the pit window. So he was in that barrier there, by the looks of things, he's probably spun the car. Mazepin spun the car. Well, that is a surprise. So, Joshy Boy does not hit. I don't think any of the guys behind him will as well. Pillars is right behind Clarky. He's just managed to gain the time needed. And you see Dragon's got 3-second time for 7 in the morning, so that'll be extending track limits once again. So, Clarky in 2nd place, Infamous Pillars in 3rd with DRS. And right behind him, could we see Infamous Pillars here with the pace, you have to say, of someone looking to win the race? You might be able to. You'd have thought in 17 it'd been impossible, but I did say at the start, that does not mean you count these guys out. They are extremely fast. So is Clarky, and I think that's what we're going to see, a really great battle here between what is now 2nd and 3rd place. We go down to see Taser on Cody. Cody's still got that front wing damage, I believe. And it's just not working for Taser to be able to try and attack. So Ryan is right behind Raggy still. Raggy's obviously got 3-second time penalty, but he's right behind the Extremist as well, so 3-second time penalty. Ryan first time penalty. That's good news for Extremist. He's not finishing this at the moment. He's having a good race, being able to stick it into the finish line. Out pitting around him, including Smithy. As you see now, the window is now open. That's a yellow flag once again. So we can see if DRS is going to work DRS, let's see, it's 1/10 between Raggy and Extremist. Let's see if he can convert that with DRS now. It does look like Extremist just has the tyres over it. But as I said, it also looks like those medium compound tyres are not working very well. And I think the reason maybe behind that that we see them not want to be competitive. Tyre temperature can really not play to your advantages, especially when it's raining, and it just means that if you're on a dry tyre and it's raining, activating that tyre when it's more harder compound is extremely difficult. And this might be where the soft compound tyre is just working quite well. You see, you know, these guys, their tyre compound probably should be wearing off quite a lot right now. but the medium compound tyres aren't coming to life as easily as we sort of think they should be. But we see now Clarkey and Infamous Pillars once again going neck and neck. Clarkey having a massive moment there. That's really good news for Infamous Pillars. He's managed to get past him. Now, can he use DRS to overtake the leader? Not on this lap, certainly, but certainly in range in the next. Raggy's right behind Extremists again. Every single DRS zone that we find, these guys sort of get right into each other's gearboxes. But it's just not enough. Raggy just can't get that little bit extra. He's had to brake very hard there to not run into the back of Extremists going into turn 6. Realistically, guys, we see a big moment there on the rear end. It doesn't seem to get any better. It still looks like it's slightly better, but it doesn't seem to be an intermediate race at this point. Extremists is cutting it very closely to get in a time penalty there. Supposed to be getting up there, so. But with DRS, let's now see if Infamous Pillars is looking at overtaking Joshy Boy round the outside. Can he make it work? Joshy Boy goes to the Audacious, very deep. There's a switch back there from Infamous Pillars with DRS, with overtake, now level. Yeah, and that is P1 for the Racing Point. Starting 17th. Raggy finally gets past Extremist. Oh, that's not what you like to hear. A lot of wheel spin there from Extremist. You see Cody and VRL Smithy also fighting. These McLarens don't seem to like traction coming out of that corner, put it that way. I mean, it's not the McLaren, it just happens to be doing. Let's have a look. I think this is probably the closest battle on at the moment. Joshy Boy and Clarkey have reignited, but this time for second and third rather than the first and second. Oh, there we go. Clarkey, even though he started with harder compound tyre, is now in the pits. Oh, that's a big moment there from Extremist. He's looking to keep it out of the wall there. Extremist does get a 3-second time penalty, but now so, we're just waiting to see if Nick now. So the first pit stop will happen. Clarkey was fighting alongside his teammate Nick, and there you go. Now you'd expect Nick to have to pit one more time, obviously. Clarkey will not. Breezes past Cody there. Let's see if Nick can do the same, going up the inside of Cody there. Just going to be enough. Is it? Ooh, got DRS. Of course, Cody's going to be using DRS as well, so he's going off Clarkey. But let's see, round the outside, it's just not going to work for you there. Cody, you almost spinning your tyres a bit too much. So, we now have Nick into 10th position. That's good for him. Start with the accident with FT. So, Extremist up into 5th. He's hoping to be able to chase down Raggy a bit more, but he's still not pitting as we see Jake Lee retire from the session. 3 seconds as well for Drofter. So, Infamous Pillars is now almost 2 seconds ahead of Joshy Boy. Joshy Boy just seems to be losing time. He might want to come into the pit soon so we can get out ahead of Clarkey, who seems to be gaining on Smithy. Now down in 8th position. Obviously having to pit some guys ahead of him. That just shows the undercut actually really works for Smithy. Although he's on 6-lap-old soft compound tyres, and will have to hit against double to medium, he has managed to find the cable of time. Will make you wonder what will happen if he goes to the pits. Anyway, Clarkey very easily gets ahead of him. So, we now have Kaiser and this pack of Kaiser, Ryan and Extremist coming up next to Clarkey. He's probably hoping that as we're out on lap 17, these guys can actually start to hit. And you see Extremist definitely is going into this there. It's such a pain of a hit entry that because you are on the racing line as you get around that and it just means that if you're going slower, so just try and make sure you can get into the pits. The collision is so easy to happen. So we can now see that he's able to try and get on the inside there of Ryan. Not enough at the moment, as we see Nick get another reason but we might see in this DRS zone much nicer exit, and now just to add to the confusion, Taser has Clarky on a completely different strategy right behind him. Now, as Clarky goes a bit of a wider, if he can get those soft compound tyres to the end of the race, which what, 17 laps? See Clarky go up the inside. 17 laps for Clarky to get to the end of the race on these soft compound tyres. It's a push. Impossible. He might be able to pull off a lot of it. So, we now see Clarky getting right past Ryan as well. Pretty easy. See him 5 second time for him. Taser speeding in the pit lane. So, I'm surprised. I think the undercut's going to have worked. Pillars and Joshy Boy are going to come out, I'd say, 3 or 4 seconds behind Clarky. Easily. I don't know. If Clarky still keeps gaining time, which he is on these runners, I think it's just going to be too much for him to make that on medium compound tires compared to his softs. We're seeing already the softs and the medium are pretty much level in terms of performance in the race. So unless track conditions improve or get worse and cause everyone to have to be again, I think we're honestly watching Clarky here pull off a masterclass of a strategy to get back into first position. We'll have to wait and see. We'll see some of the battle reignited after the misconception. We'll see Extremist and MJ King here, the medium compound with us now. MJ King and Extremist having to just kind of stay out of the way, and then he's having a bit of a moment. Let's see, with the RS, with a bit of overtake maybe? No, just with the RS, he's going to go up the inside. It looks like he is. Definitely a corner look. But he gets out in front. Now, it's important to note that because of the few extra laps beforehand that he was fitting, he's now jumped Raggy. And Raggy's now stuck behind MJ King. Well, he was. Not anymore. But Taser, let's have a look. Taser gets out in front of Raggy. So there we go. The soft compound mode of Taser. And the rain has stopped. Right. Full track safety car. Turash has now. Oh, that's not good for Infamous Pillars. Oh, he has managed to get out before the safety car comes around though. Right. Yeah, everyone behind him is pitting, including Clarky. That's interesting. Well, I suppose Clarky knows that no matter what, he's going to be able to get out in front of Infamous Pillars. It's just whether he has to stay on that set, as in on that. On that set time going round. Now, importantly, Casey, because he pitted so late, has jumped to Clarky. You now have Casey in 3rd place. Amazing strategy from him. You then have Ryan in 5th, Smithy's still in 6th, Nick has now got up to 7th, and Drofter, the unlikely man who I was thinking, nope, he's got no chance now because of where he was, is now in 8th position again. And going to be right up to the back of the lot, and going to be on fresh soft tyres. This is going to be one hell of the last 15 laps. So let's see now as Joshy Boy comes into the pit. I'm guessing it's his penalty as well. He is. No one get a penalty, please. Let's see. Well done. So the ones to watch here are Casey and Clarky. It looks like they're not going to get around. No. this, as I was going to say, this timing issue has meant that Josh Boy and Infamous Pillars could get round, get the tyres sorted, and then still come out in first and second. So now we have Infamous Pillars, Josh Boy, Casey, Clarky, all on really compound tyres. Now it's the correct way to look. You then have Ryan on the softs right behind him. Those softs, 15 laps. It's doable in the drive. They go about 14 to 17, but those mediums are going to come, at the end of the race. Those mediums are going to feel a lot nicer. Clarky's done very well there to pit onto the mediums rather than going back onto the softs again. Whilst you'll get the advantage at the start, you won't get the advantage, which is where you'll want, because you're probably not going to get that much of an advantage. But as I said, middle of the race, that's when we're going to see the safety car. And here we are. Casey has pulled off a massive stroke coming in, so late, and thus being able to make sure he maintains track position whilst in. Well done to Casey, well done to Infamous Pillars, still in first. After I said Clarky was just gaining and looking like he was going to So now we have the safety car out, Infamous Pillars, then Josh Boy, Casey, Clarky, Ryan, Smithy on into the pits. Interesting. That brings Nick into 6th and Drofter into 7th. Drofter is obviously one of those drivers who just never really want to take your eye off, as we said. So then Extremist in 9th, Raggy, MJT, Stiffmeister, Cody, FT. So, let's see where Smithy comes out. Smithy's going to come out into probably going to stay there. Yeah, there we go. These guys are still catching the pack up ahead. Drofter is going to be thinking, right, what position have I found myself into now? Same as Nick. Can they get a podium? There's only 3 cars in front of them. They can see first place. That's certainly want to. Got a lot of fast drivers ahead of them. Ryan has done very well in 5th place at the moment. We then have Clarky, who's done very well to stay. Obviously, he's kind of been the biggest one who's missed out because of the safety car has meant he's actually lost what would have been probably about 3 positions. Hitting as well as a lot of time. He was in the best position before the safety car came out. I think Pillars is going to be very pleased that the safety car's come out. Safety car is still not coming in. They're going to be trying to do the best they can for making sure that their tyres are warm enough, especially those on medium compound tyres. They'll be thinking these softs behind us, they're going to be very racy to begin with. Really want to do that. Really don't. We're back in Sweden. Straight from where it goes. Now, I think Infamous Pillars just going to hope to really get the dodge on him. I think his biggest worry is going to be Clarky there. Clarky's going to be working on Nick. So we're going to wait and see. As a team, I'm really trying to work their tyres as much as possible. So, be on board, I think, with Casey as we see him just going very early there. So Clarky's very much missed out but so is Ryan there, almost a second behind each other. The top three of Casey, Joshy Boy, and the Pillars have done very well just to try and remain in front, and sort of elongate themselves out a little bit. It's meant though that the soft compound runner of Ryan and Nick just couldn't act in time. I think Pillars did the best thing there, not only himself, hold the top four. As we see now, Ryan really trying to push Martin Clarkey there, breaking much later. Got overtaken stuff on, I think. I don't think he's actually meant to have that. So, we see Stiffmeister had an accident going into turn 3. He's left the session. He has kept the car going though, so we're okay at the moment. Right, let's see what else we've got. Some battles. Drop through Nick goes right back at the moment. Drop through Hogan, he's just falling almost 2 seconds back at the start. But it has gone away at the start, which is good for him. Now, this is where these bits have got starts coming into play. Clarky and Influencers are the only two in the top 10 who haven't got penalties. They're going to be thinking, what, I'm going to just stay as close as possible, and then as close as possible. As we see Cody's, I don't know what's happened, as close as possible to make sure that they're being able to make use of those 3 second time penalties. Sorry, looking at this at the same time, just to see what's going on with those who are crashing out and stuff. Cody is absolutely Stiffmeister's now to 14. He's of course AI, so he won't be staying there. Lost position for that. Joshy Boy, it's another 3 second time penalty. Maybe it's time for us to look. Ryan is really pushing Clarky, but Clarky is so close to Casey. Joshy Boy has a 6 second time penalty. That at the moment, because of the safety car, we've got 10 more laps. At the moment now, I'm glad to get him past Casey and up onto the podium once more. So, Joshy's penalty will take him down below Casey. Of course, Ryan also on that 6 seconds. He's not going to be able to as well. Now, Casey's managed to get overtaken as well from Ryan, but these guys are really pushing one another. Ryan kind of squeezing a bit too much there, but there we go. Drofter is now into a make podium finish as well after such a small start for him. Going on, it's what here we are. This is where when you see that it doesn't matter how badly your race is going, if you stay in it, you just keep going. This sort of thing can happen as a very late braking from Casey, almost going back to the front, I should say there, of Drofter. Let's see if Drofter continues the momentum now. Got better exit, got VRL and split trim, not much right here. Race front wing here as well, but he try it here now. Overtake, DRS, round the outside. Good fight. There we go. 5th place, Drofter. Now we go sidestep the 4th place of Ryan in the BWT Racing point. His teammate is still out in 1st position, 3 seconds ahead of Joshy Boy. Now 4 tenths behind him, and under attack is Clarky in the Mercedes. These two were fighting out for the entire Grand Prix, and they're fighting out still now. We have Droft, who's then 2 tenths behind now, getting Nick going to do his best to overtake. Clarky now got a 3 second time penalty. So that means Infamous Pillars is now the only person under the VRL 50 to not have penalty. Casey under attack from Nick, going round the side. It works in the inside here. Out through though, we don't think he's going to dive through the queue. Not a good try to place attack. Now you see Clarky on Joshy Boy. These two are now neck to neck. Actually, not because Joshy Boy, we see Smithy now getting a 3 second time penalty, leaving only Pillars with a penalty. You see Clarky now going round the outside into turn 3, in the inside, I should say, turn 3, Outside is Joshy Boy and just managing to keep it working. And Ryan are really pushing each other too. With overtake, with DRS, he's now going up the inside. Dropter is, can he make this work? Ryan squeezes him once more. He's onto the grass and he has to back out there in order to not break his car. Dropter is now up into 4th position. Joshy Boy is right up there. And he can poke him. Of course, we now need to look at penalties once more. Dropter is only on 3 seconds, so he currently does have that podium position from Joshy Boy, but he would certainly like it on the track. Right, let's have a look down the field, see if anyone's green. Ryan is probably closer a little bit to Dropter, but these guys out the front are really pushing one another now. We're on board though with Joshy Boy, as he's probably going to have his best chance going up into turn 3 now. Can he make it work? So much pace there going into turn 4. Turn 3, this is turn 4. Now, it's important to recognize that those 8-lap all soft compound tyres on Dropter's car are starting to probably drop off a little bit. This is where the medium compact tyre starts to really kind of play into their hands. We go down with missing 9th position. Casey's fallen all the way from 3rd into 9th now. He's just managed to fall down the order that little bit too much. He couldn't keep hold of it. Now let's see if he can carry on into 8th. This is what I said. He's going to get on kind of working in his favour a little bit here. They're going to want to put him in the last. So now he's dropping on up and down. Does look like Josh Boy is the only person still able to do any overtaking in this little pack, going down to 5th with Ryan. But I don't think it's going to be enough. Parkin's just got the pace and a bit of the rhythm there as well. Parkin just seems to really have the pace and traction coming out of these corners. I think Josh Boy is just not able to catch him anywhere near what he wants to. Dropter is obviously in 4th, but with DRS still, Bosching is unable to be overtaken. You see, Extremis has managed to get past Casey. Has he? Hasn't he? He has, just about. Up outside, he's now becoming the inside of this next corner, but Casey is braving it around the outside. Can't make it work though. Extremis does manage to hold the position in 8th. Doing very well indeed. Right, we're going to go up, no, to Joshy Boy once more. Clarky managed to still remain ahead without using as much ER, I should say, as Joshy Boy. So Joshy Boy is at risk here of falling outside of DRS. He had a big moment there. Dropter is now onto the track. Dropter has probably got his sights set on Clarky. I have to say, if Dropter finishing 1st, 2nd, that will be great. If this person is finishing 1st, he's meant to. Don't get me wrong, it is, because he's done so well across the entire race, but he's held it there, and the consistency has been amazing. Dropter falling so far behind, after having the abysmal start and the bad qualifying, qualifying himself, Dropter now finishing 2nd. That was meant. The ball out second move. He started at 32 though. Can he get it done? I really don't know. He's going to go down though to FT. He's challenging now. Extremist FT with point. They've got better traction, better DRS. There we go. Straight past Extremist. Looking at trying to do the same back. He's not going to have DRS. Dropter has overtaken Clarky. There we go. To turn 3. Dropter going. Was it an instant? Because for neither of them to have DRS then must have been instant. Anyway, Dropter's now into 2nd position. They've done both through. Can he put those medium compact pound tires in their window? Maybe. maybe catch that 2-second point. I don't think he'll be. If Raffi's not caught up to this little passenger, now a nice little gap coming behind second place. Can they all catch up? Who knows? Extremist is still within DRS of FT. He'll be happy with that. Managed to keep DRS to get solidify his position. It's not been a good day for anyone really in this fight, apart from Joshy. Joshy boy will be gaining a fair amount of points on his rivals at the moment, which is exactly what he wants to be hearing. See a 3-second time penalty again for Casey. Well, Droffler's got it down to just about Casey's now outside of the points. I don't think he's got enough in him to catch back Katie, and Kaiser are really fighting out here. Kaiser now trying to go up the inside, Casey pushing it up the outside, not a much better run though Kaiser does with DRS. I think we'll find a little bit longer. Go into the last corner, try and get the 3-second time to push it. That would be good for him. We can see that Joshy boy's got a 9-second time penalty, which is going to put him down. Actually, no, it's not going to put him down. Go down to 6.7. Casey up. Around the outside here, they see coming really close to him off. He's not going to be able to do great racing though for the guy. And I have to say, to be honest, across the entire field though, he had one accident on track which was caused by the two running into each other between Nick and FT, but they both kept going, and there they are in 7th and 8th position. But other than that, I have to say, the battles between the guys very good decision of who to give the driver the day to. Pure brilliance on track, it has to go to Conquest. To come back from that far back in qualifying has been amazing for these two to do. Now yes, Droffler may have lucked out a little bit with a significant. I don't know who to give it to. I really don't know who to give it to. Oh, that's a big moment there from Clarkin. Casey and Kaiser are still fighting, going down into this corner. Let's see if Kaiser can take it back. Just can't get it working. We're going to go on board though with Infamous Pillars. I think I have him. He has controlled the race. He managed to, in a very treacherous conditions, make his way up the field, doing some amazing overtaking throughout the entire race. And then, since then, has commanded the race. He has done nothing wrong. Genuinely been brilliant throughout the entire thing. As you can see, FT having a massive incident going down now into 9th place behind Extremist, and Droffler, Clarky are really fighting it out here. But I am going to give my driver of the day to Infamous Pillars. He's commanded the race, he's controlled it the entire on the track. Yes, he's made a bit of a mistake, but compared to the others around him, he made many. For me, his overtaking to get into this position in the first place was phenomenal. In extremely difficult conditions, he's done very, very well. For me, has to be driver of the day. I think he'll be driver of the day in game as well because of how many positions he's made. But honestly, brilliant, amazing race from Infamous Pillars. He's done so brilliantly, and I have to give it to him. He's celebrating there. He does come home in 3rd position, in his 2nd position, and a big mistake there, well, obviously on purpose. But he does get it on track. We then have Rank coming home in 4th, Nick in 5th, Joshy Boy in 6th. Ryan in 7th, Extremist will come home in 8th. He'll be very happy with that, I think. He is, and then you've got Casey then in 9th. Kaiser in 10th. Smithy, after such a good race, he comes home in 9th actually, well done to him. FT done 11th. Brilliant race. Well done to everyone who competed and everyone who finished. 11th place for FT, who's our championship winner. Drofter actually gets driver of the day for the game, but for me, I have to give it to Infamous Pillars. He's done amazingly in the overtakes. He did so well to get up to that position and commanded the race as soon as he got up there. Well done, everyone. It was brilliant. Honestly. When we said we were going to be racing in Austria, I knew it was going to be good because it's the kind of track that encourages overtaking. But to get a race like this, which was so unpredictable, with Drofter being on the podium, with Infamous Pillars being on the podium, with Clarkey managing to keep it up there, again, maybe my curse is broken for Clarkey. He's done very well today. To be able to have the opportunity to commentate on these guys, I'm proud of them, I really am. It's been brilliant. Here's the final classification then. Infamous Pillars in first, Drofter in second, Clarkey in third. That's the podium for us. We then have Raggy done very well to come home in fourth, Nick in fifth after that accident, Joshy Boy in sixth after all the penalties. Then you have Ryan, Extremist, and Smithy and Casey rounding up the top 10. Then FT, Kaiser, MJ King, and the Stiffmeister, the classified runners, but Stiffmeister will not get a position because he left the session. And then the DNFers of Cody, Tirash, Jake Lee, Mazzaspin, and Magic Mag. Well done to everyone who's been there. Thank you everyone who's joined us today. Please make sure to like, subscribe to this channel for more racing game content like this, for more races here on Monday Night Racing as well as the other leagues. I've been Nat Craig. You can find me over at I'm Not Good at Video Games, and you'll find out exactly why that's the name of the channel. Thank you very much. I hope you have a very good evening.